This is the response to intervention, or RTI, in my student presentation, prepared by Sean Lovelace, Special Services Teacher from Downers Grove South High School. We're going to look at what Response to Intervention Initiative is, or RTI as we're going to refer to it. We're going to look at various things. Among them, going to be that it's going to be a school-wide initiative. It's a tiered process. There's early intervention and identification strategies, continuous monitoring, collaboration of teams and parents and students, and then the impact that it has on special education. Again, RTI is a school-wide initiative. All students in the school will be exposed. It's not a special education only. It's not for only kids who have struggled in the past. Again, all students at some point will be exposed. There will be professional development for teachers in terms of some of the strategies that they'll use in the classroom to not only identify but to intervene and to come up with strategies to make improvements for students who are found to be struggling. There's benchmark assessments, which is good in getting data to recognize early who is struggling and the progress that they're making or lack of progress that they're having. Again, these are going to be done throughout the year, at least 3 times a year. And it's not something that we wait till their sophomore year or their junior year when there's the state standardized testing. And it's not a special education initiative. It's something that is again school-wide. It's meant to intervene prior to special education services. How that happens is a tiered process. So among there's 3 tiers of RTI, and as you can see by the chart, tier 1 would covers kind of the most students, and that's where everybody's going to start at. In that student, or in that tier, there will be classroom assessments and standard assessments that each of the students will go through. From that portion, students who seem to be still struggling will kind of move on to tier 2. Well, there'll be some more kind of individualized or group assessments kind of at the classroom level, meant to get those students who didn't meet requirements of tier 1 on board on tier 2. And then students who continue to struggle in tier 2 would then move up into tier 3, which is the most intense in terms of intervention among the tiers. And as you can see kind of by the graph, the more number of students, the higher number of students will be getting the most services. But as that number goes up, the number of students go, or as the tiers go up, the number of students kind of goes down. On the opposite side of it, the higher the tier, it's the more intense and frequent the intervention. So along tier 1, you have kind of a classroom and school-wide assessments. Then in tier 2, you have your kind of group assessments within the classroom, and then tier 3 is more individualized. And again, this is all before the referral of special education services. About RTI, or one of the things about RTI is just the early intervention in trying to reach students before they start to struggle, not waiting for them to fail, and then it's just the continuous monitoring of what's going on. So you want to address the students' needs early. You don't want to wait for them to fail at something or feel like they're not doing well in school, or start to develop that negative attitude towards school, and they start missing or start coming up sick. So RTI is meant to address that from an early standpoint. And it's also meant to address it often. So again, these are daily classroom strategies that teachers will be using in the classroom. And it's also the continuous monitoring of the assessments that they're done throughout the year, and the information that is logged. So it's not something that's talked about, it's actually done, and there are numbers to kind of back it up. And again, this is all before the referral to special education services. Another key component of RTI is the collaboration. And as you can see in the definition below, collaboration is where 2 or more people working together towards shared goals. And I think RTI Obviously, everyone has that shared goal of student learning, and making sure that students are making progress as they progress through school. So again, it's a key component, and I think a big part of that collaboration is among the school personnel team. So you have teachers, case managers, school social workers, psychologists who are kind of doing some of the testing. You have school counselors, you have administration who is setting up the different professional development for the teachers to learn these strategies. You also have the collaboration of parent involvement. Um, Understanding what RTI is and what they're going to be testing your students on, and what those measurements mean. Also knowing where your student is, if they have been tested, or what those results were. And also understanding that there is a student buy-in portion to anything that you're going to do in school. So having students be on board with what you're doing is another key component, and understanding that you're trying to get them as close to grade level as possible to try to set them up for success in the future. We'll also talk about like the impact on special education of RTI. Really, it's giving students tools to succeed. So again, it's not just a way of measuring or testing to see where students are at. It's more about the interventions that are being set up and addressing those students' needs from an earlier standpoint. So I think instead of waiting to fail, we're kind of putting them in a position to succeed, or at least reaching them earlier before they get to a point of failure. The impact that we hope that it has is that less students are going to end up being classified as or referred for special services. Waiting to the point to where it seems that's the only necessary way of reaching an individual student, as opposed to trying some other interventions prior to referral to special services, kind of one of the intentions of RTI. It also it's again, it's not meant to reduce or eliminate special education. We're actually it's a part of that collaboration piece is the giving the students or special education students the access to the general ed classroom. So a big part of any secondary school now is inclusion. And within these inclusion classes, there'll be RTI strategies and teams collaborating, and the students who have IEPs, who are in co-taught or inclusion classes, will all be getting the benefits of these different learning strategies that the RTI collaboration teams are going to be using. And again, special ed services still exist. It's not something that goes away. RTI is not meant to replace special education. A student that comes into high school with an IEP, be it from a learning disability, or a social emotional disability, will still receive those services. RTI is just meant to supplement and to make sure that all students are getting those tiered interventions along the way. Um, Various resources that you can use and find on response to intervention or RTI. I think the first one is you want to talk to school personnel, and you want to reach out to the teachers. You want to reach out to the counselors, the team that's going to be really on a day-to-day basis with your student to see where your student stands, how they've been doing, and what their progress has been. Here's a few different other resources, and you can click on the link in this presentation. The first is the RTI Action Network. Second is the Center on Response to Intervention. And the third is Intervention Central. Yeah, and RTI is something that's been around for probably 10 to 15 years. It's science and research driven. It employs some of the best teaching and learning methods out there today. And again, it's a tool that's really meant to help all students and um, try to get everybody um, to come on board and get as close to grade level as they can. And again, at the same time, giving those special education students as much access to the general education classroom as possible. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much.